All right, welcome back. We continue live right here. Pittsburgh CW, Bob Bob Pompeani with you at 412-575-2600. That's a lesson to all of you out there trying to get into broadcast. Don't eat something right before you come down here, because I did, and I paid the price for that one. My apologies on that. We also invite your tweets at KDPomp. Let me know what you think about a lot of this stuff, and we'll have our tweet of the day coming up from Tri-State Office Furniture. That's a little bit later. In the meantime, we're talking about the NFL. We're talking about what this deal does for players and owners, who wins in that discussion, but also the fans ultimately are the winners there, and I think that's good for them. All right, let's go to the lines. We'll begin with Kurt in Harmer. We want your opinions. Kurt, go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Hi, Bob. Flying solo tonight, huh?
Flying solo, yeah.
Okay. Well, look, first thing that hit me when I heard about this was the 10-year length of this contract. Bob, a lot of these players are still in high school. How can they dictate terms and conditions under which people would be held to when they're not even in the league yet?
Well, that's the way it's always been. You know, they have a leadership group, and DeMaurice Smith is the man in charge there. And there are a lot of high-end players. It's always going to be the grinders, who don't make a lot of money versus the superstars and these kinds of things, Kurt. And, quite frankly, the people at the top of the food chain did not like this deal. They wanted something more. I think ultimately a lot of guys would love to have total guaranteed contracts like other sports have. That's just not going to happen without a work stoppage. I think DeMaurice Smith got what he could out of this, but I think the owners in the end got pretty much of everything they wanted. They've been talking about 17 games for an awful long time. They got what they wanted. A lot of the guys at the bottom end voted for this if they did, because they're going to get an immediate $100,000 boost potentially in their game checks. This also increases practice squads. And by the way, those of you who don't think that counts against the caps, that last check, I think it does count, and I got to double check that, but I think 14 players making like $2,500 a week, that's a lot of money that could add up under the cap. Maybe not a lot, but it impacts what their decision making is. So I think that's pretty much how it worked, and the people at the bottom of the food chain voted, and 2/3, I think, of the players are, certainly make just not the kind of money that the superstars are going to make. But hey, they agreed to it. It all took was a majority vote. They got it done. Let's go out to the lines now. We got Alan in Greensburg. Hello, Alan. How are you today?
How are you doing?
All right. Thanks.
So, how about the cap on the running back? We need. How about our defense? We need a defense of safety. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, they got Minkah Fitzpatrick and they got Terrell Edmonds. They're not going to get a safety. They already have two there. And I think Edmonds, although he didn't have the kind of year I think a lot of people would have hoped, I thought he was okay. He needs to make more big plays, but Fitzpatrick had a lot to do with that. As far as the rest of their defense, they have no money to spend. As you heard me say, they're in a position right now where they're just trying to figure out who they could retain from the people I listed. And it starts with Bud Dupree. All right, let's go to Chuck, who joins us right now. Chuck, how are you tonight? Welcome to the Sports Call.
Hi, Bob. Chuck, yeah. I was curious to know, everybody's thinking that Mason Rudolph's going to be there in case Ben gets hurt. He's not too much of a pickup. I was wondering if they think about getting another quarterback. But another question. This is a little bit unusual. What happened to Gene Collier and Mr. Cook on your call?
Well, they've made a change here, and I'll kind of leave it at that. I think that's the way it's gone. And, those two guys are great professionals at what they do, two outstanding writers, and have contributed wonderfully over the years. Now, as far as your quarterback situation is concerned, there's a name, and I mentioned this going into the break as a tease here, Jameis Winston. A lot of people, and this includes now Chris Sims, who works for NFL on NBC, he believes that the Steelers would be the best fit for Jameis Winston. Now, first of all, the Steelers have already said Roethlisberger, they believe he could be potentially better than he was if he comes back injury-free, everything's fine, he throws the ball. Those are unknowns. That still may not happen. But behind him, they entrust Mason Rudolph. Jameis Winston is going to get a deal, I would think, someplace else, given what he did last year with Tampa, which is 30 touchdowns. Yes, I know 30 interceptions, but the guy can make things happen, and he's quick out of the pocket. He does make mistakes. He fumbles a lot. There are a lot of negatives, too. The only scenario I see under which you can bring him here is if he doesn't get an offer, he needs to just keep busy and be with a team, and he settles for something that he would otherwise not have because there's no room anywhere else. And there's still a lot of these chips to fly. As I mentioned, Tom Brady. Where does he end up? Now it looks like, and I've said New England's probably the most logical landing spot back there, although You never know. It could be Indianapolis, although Phillip Rivers looks to be interested there, or at least they're interested in him. Teddy Bridgewater's out there, as well as Marcus Mariota. These are all people who can make a big difference, and they're going to command a lot of money. So I do not see how Jameis Winston would end up here unless it was under the scenario I just described for you. All right, now it's time for our Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day, and we appreciate all those on Twitter when you call in with your, or tweet in with your comments. This one comes to us from Pitt Basketball, and it's news that maybe a lot of you didn't want to hear, but you're going to hear it because Ryan Murphy has entered the transfer portal as graduate transfer. He will now look for a new home where he has immediate eligibility. Murphy averaged 7.6 points per game, 33% from three-point. He was one of their best three-point shooters, and they wish him best of luck in the future. But we're also hearing that Trey McGowan's potentially, again, it's speculation that he may consider that as well. That's our Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day. We also have the Mitsubishi Hot and Cold Play of the Day coming up. More of your calls on the way and tweets. Let me know what you think at KD Pomp. You're watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call 7 nights a week right here, Pittsburgh CW, and we thank you for your participation.
Portions of this program sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook.